All right. Hey, folks. It is Tuesday, May 14th, 2019, and this is the weekly meeting of Kubernetes Sig Docs. Let's see. Do we have anyone new with us? Eric Carty. Hello, Eric. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just taking a look at Kubernetes, saw this SIG group, and just was interested in learning more. So if you guys want to just give it to me, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Glad to have you here. Where are you based out of, Eric?
Here in just in the Bay Area, so just south of San Francisco.
Very cool. Welcome.
Thank you.
Right. Let's go to updates and reminders. So our PR wrangler for this week is Tim Fogarty. So we're so happy to see you back. Welcome back.
Nice to be back.
Good for you for taking a long vacation, though. That's awesome. Self-care. Next week, our PR wrangler is Shangpeng Zhao. Also, Peter is his anglicized name. Barney, you want to give us updates on 1.15?
Hi, everybody. So currently, the team, me and the Shadows, we are currently working, making sure that we update the enhancement to know which one needs docs and which doesn't. We have reached to Fox already, so we are waiting for their feedback. And some of them have started creating draft PR. So I reached out to Zach. I had no permission to create milestone to those PR. So I'll keep updating them. Yes, that's all we're doing right now.
Cool. Thank you, Barney. So I saw, I got your message about not being able to add the milestone command. I just added a link into the agenda doc. If you open a PR against that file and add yourself to the milestone maintainers, actually, let me do you one better. Let me give you an actual line link that in that URL. Okay, so if you go to line 258 in that file, you'll see the team to add yourself to. If you open a PR against that file and add yourself to that team, I can LGTM and approve it, like nothing flat.
Sure, we'll do that.
And you will be able to add milestones after that.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. Thanks for doing an awesome job.
That sounds like something that might be added to the handbook, maybe.
That does
Yeah,
sound like
I think I will also update the handbook for that. I mean, for the next lead to take care of that very early, probably.
Milestone team. Great addition for handbook. All right, let's move on to the agenda. So let's talk about content. So question for you, JD. I don't see Steve Perry with us. So last week we talked about opening issues for every single page in the concepts overview section. So how is that going?
Yeah, I only did one, was working the other one, and I'm sorry about that. I didn't have enough time, but that's so. One thing that I just need to find a way to link the issue to the projects page. I'm not sure how to go and do that.
Oh, you mean to add, like actually add an issue to the repo project?
Yeah. So to ours, the what was it called? Project number 3, docs and writing and editing. So I created an issues, but I'm not sure how to go and make the issues appear in that to-do list.
That's a really good question. I know how to do it like natively through GitHub, but I don't know how to do it through through Prow. So let me dig on that and find out. Does anybody else know? Has anyone else done this with Prow?
Did even a Prow command?
I could just close the issue and start a new one, but how do you do it natively in GitHub? Out of curiosity.
So you have to have write permissions for the repo, which we could do by we could create a new team, or we could just, I don't know how many. We could look at your PR record and see if you qualified to be an approver.
Okay.
Jim, thanks for the link to Prow commands. They're in the meeting chat. Yeah, we can go dig through that in a minute. Let's see. Is that a project? Oh, you can. There's a /project command. Yay. Those tested for folks. So handy.
Good.
So at that point,
/project.
I'm not exactly sure, but it'll be /project something. What the exact syntax is, I don't know. But there's still the question of whether or not you have adequate permissions to do that. So let's figure out the best way to make sure that you have adequate permissions to do that kind of assignment. And that's going to be relevant for for Danny as well, and for other folks like Cody Crudgington, other folks doing issue triage. So yeah, let's figure out the best way to give you the relevant permissions. I'm open to what that can look like.
Again, I should have figured this out earlier, so sorry about that interrupting.
No, it's not you. We all should have figured this out earlier. I think this is the first time that any of us have considered how to actually add things through Prow. So thanks for giving us the opportunity to figure it out.
No problem.
Hey, Royal. Okay, so let's go. Another piece on content. So the what is Kubernetes page. I know that I saw a little bit of traffic on it today. Danny assigning priority to it to match our Q2 goals. I talked with Xavi Desenayake, and she is going to tackle that, I think, in the next 2 weeks. So she's going to open a PR to close the issue that we have open for what is Kubernetes. So let's see, anything else? Apart from just figuring out how to actually assign things to that milestone, JD, have you run into any problems or other difficulties? I mean, just apart from having the time to do it with opening issues for those individual pages?
No, actually, I should go and take a closer look, but I think that it is fairly straightforward. And I know when I was looking at the Kubernetes components one, I'm reaching out to the add-ons team, as it seems that nowadays no one, whatever's add-ons, it seems a lot of it was just dominated by operator, and even the add-ons special interest group is just add-ons via operators. So I mean, yeah, it's just the evolution of stuff. So it should. I think that I think that we're at the point that we should talk about CRDs and operators somewhere in these concepts, don't you think?
I absolutely agree. Yeah, that content hasn't really has not kept pace with the freshness of custom resource definitions, things like that. So yeah, I think those would be really helpful additions.
Yeah, I'll go and make sure to go and add them into the issues.
Awesome, thank you.
My
anything else that folks want to talk about related to content?
Just a quick heads up for JD. With regards to operators and everything, so a few weeks ago I dug into this one, and I had a chat with the Lifecycle. Just a FYI, the Lifecycle guys, they said for the cube, the roadmap of the future is not to adopt the operators, but the add-ons you might have seen they started only on the operators. So they just figure out with 1 or 2 PRs which add-ons will follow the operators path. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just bringing it up because for the OpenShift 4, for example, they went into operators full in. So maybe as part of this content reorganization stuff or refreshment, maybe it would be nice to kind of have a distinction between, what the Cube community as a evolution is adopting with regards to operators versus vendors distribution.
So add-ons is a form of operators.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So we can make it clear there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Danny, for that.
Mm-hmm.
Super helpful.
And on this topic, if you don't mind, because you're still close to the content, there was I spoke with the lifecycle and I buzzed them a bit. A while ago, as I understood, historically there was a PR to update the whole docs content to make the for example, to ditch the masters and move to Kube's control plane, as well as for the workers to be node. As I understood from one of the gentlemen saying that because of the scope, it turned out to be quite a big PR. The work has been stopped. So I was thinking whether, as part of this Q2, maybe we should revive that one. What folks think about it?
I think that you're talking about their conceptual content.
I'm talking about only the terminology. So rather than having in the documentation having Kubernetes masters, Kubernetes workers nodes, just call it them Kubernetes control plane, and that right.
Perfect. I think that's a great thing to accomplish in Q2. If you wanted to take that on and work with either that yourself or work with Sig cluster lifecycle to do that, I think that's perfect.
Okay.
Sorry, is this also in the concepts documentation? Which one? If so, which one is this under?
I was in general, like the entire docs, whether it's concept or task or anything like that. Just where you see like Kate's master or worker, just to kind of say, hey, control plane, or even maybe just to go into glossary and say, K control plane equals, masters or the old name masters, and then the nodes or workers just pure compute.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm sorry, Danny, you said that there's a PR open in progress?
Yeah, it was one, and as I understood, I believe they close it. So what I just wanted to bring it up first, and what I will do is I will open an issue first, and then I will obviously tag the cluster lifecycle, because obviously they should be aware of, and then we can tag all the pages which require changes on the text itself.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Anything? Excuse me. Anything more about content? Okay. So I see Steve Perry. I see you joined us. Are you willing to give like a quick update on how it's going with opening an issue for every one of the concept/overview topics?
Yeah, I opened the issue for the topics on kube control and kube control apply, and then JD is going to open the issues on the individual topics above that in the TOC.
Okay.
I think,
awesome.
right, JD?
Steve, it just came up. I think this may be the first time that any of us have used the /project prow command to assign a website project. Are you using /project
No,
to,
I
are you
didn't
just
know about it.
doing
Yeah.
it with the GitHub? Okay.
You can look in the projects now, and I did put this this issue in that I opened for the kube control topics.
Okay, cool. All right, let's move on. And next, let's talk about, I have this marked down as availability. I just want to raise visibility that summer is coming and conference season is starting. So folks are going to be sort of all over the place. Specifically, we're going to have a little bit of we're going to have a sort of thin coverage from my God, I do English for a living. Why can't it come out of my mouth?
You got it, man.
Thanks. It's so helpful, Zach. We are going to have a thin spot for coverage from Sig Docs chairs and from meetings, people who can lead meetings. So just to give you a sense of what that looks like specifically, let's see, Jared Bati is out on sabbatical until the 1st of August. I'm going to be running around at KubeCon EU, KubeCon Shanghai, taking vacations. And that's going to be, I'm going to be like really mostly unavailable until the 22nd of July. So Jennifer Rondeau is going to lead some meetings. Jim Angel has offered to lead meetings. So thank you and good luck to both Jennifer and Jim. If you are willing to.
Just a reminder that I am also unavailable for some of that time. I put down specific weeks when I'm completely not available. I specified the dates when I'm not available to lead meetings, but those 2 weeks of meetings, I'm not even going to be on Slack. I think there are plenty of excellent folks who will cover. Leadership will not languish for lack of officially designated leaders.
Awesome.
And as things change, since I'm still a pretty new stripe, as things change, I will make sure to keep the larger group informed.
Okay. I've got a PR open to add how to run meetings to our contribution guidelines as part of the advanced contributing section. So if you are able to and interested in running a meeting, that guidance will be available here shortly. But they're like next week, we have no chairs available to run it. So I'm not going to put Jim on the spot right now by saying, hey, Jim, will you run it? But let's talk later. All right. Let's talk next about version skew and how version skew will affect docs. Just so we're clear, version skew means making visible what components are supported at different levels of release. Like some components are only available as of a certain release, and that's not really well documented in any one place. So when we talk about version skew, what we're talking about is having all of the information for which components are supported and available at which release, and having that all in one place. So Jim Angel, do you want to talk about version skew?
Yeah, sure. So this was brought up on our Sig Docs tooling channel with Raji brought it up. And this has kind of been asked continuously in the community. Generally, do I have a single source of truth where I can go and see what versions are available, what compatible components of Kubernetes exist, what's the current minor release of a patch of Kubernetes? And so the request is, I linked in the documentation there, kernel.org. That has been somewhat of a kind of a benchmark, if you will, of what a nice version SKU looks like as far as what's currently in development, what's currently released, what's I would imagine that the Kubernetes SKU is a little bit more, a little larger than that, just because it's not just a single kernel, it's going to be the different components that are related. So something similar to that is what the community has been asking for. Personally, I would enjoy this, so that's pretty much why I bit when the question came up. And I really think looking at the version SKU document that is linked in the agenda as well, it's very binary. It's very granular as far as what is supported and what's not supported. And it really opens it up to introducing some form of logic that can calculate what pieces are connected to what other pieces. So if some piece like the kube scheduler can only be n-1 or n-2 behind another component, this can be pragmatically introduced into the way that the single page is built. So it'd be nice to build this in a way that's grabbing variable set in the config.toml on the page being built. This way, as releases are cut, if we were able to work with the SIG release team, that patch release would come into the config.toml, that version SKU would automatically change, and it'd be a little bit more harmonious with the SIG release team. So that's kind of the initial approach. I commented that I'd be happy to see this introduced, designed. I see there's open issues on two fronts. There's the documentation front, and then there's also the integration with the patch releases, thanks to Tim Pepper opening that up. So we're going to see kind of what we can get out of this, at least get it started, see what it looks like, see if we can get some community feedback, and then go from there. I kind of pitched out there this would probably be a Q3 project, I would assume, just given my cycles on Q2, and we're kind of coming up on the tail end there. So that's the gist of it. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
That's awesome. Yeah, that would be a great addition to Q3. That reminds me that it's probably a good time to start tracking things that we carry forward into Q3. Let's see, for now, the best place to do that might be our Q2 tracking or Q2 planning document. Let me see. Track this for Q3 in the Q2 planning doc. Okay, I added a link to the Q2 planning doc to the agenda. Let me know if for some reason you're not able to access it. Okay, that is what we have for the agenda. Is there anything else that folks would like to discuss in the time remaining?
Well, I have something. The other day, the folk from Minikube was asking about how we manage localization of sub-projects. Is there anything planned for like building teams for manage this? And the first time preparing the website to allow localizations, and then work with them with the sub-project teams, or just asking?
Can you restate that, Raya? What's the question?
The question is how we manage the localization from sub-projects like Minikube or Customize of kubectl. They have their own documentation sites.
Oh, I see. Okay. I honestly don't know how much we would be able to. I'm happy to like consult with them and like get folks like other localization leads talking with like sub projects that are looking to, or like hosted subdomain projects that are looking to localize. But part of the difficulty is that some of these subdomains, I think specifically of like Philip Whitrock's kubectl docs, they're using GitLab rather than Hugo. And how to get, I honestly don't know how to localize in GitLab. I've never even considered the question. So would be happy to consult, but in terms of like, here's how you do this, we can only really I can really only authoritatively talk about that in Hugo. Other folks may be better at that. Other folks may have more expertise.
The documentation from the subprojects is managed by the own subprojects. Sys Docs is not related to them?
Correct.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, this was in fact a point of discussion and some concern when we originally talked about subdomains and subprojects, as we have done in sort of earlier times when people come to Sig Docs and say, hey, we want to do this thing that's like what you do. And we have to say, okay, fine, and we'll help you do it, but we cannot be responsible for maintaining your thing or, you know, or parts of your thing that are only analogous to, not the same as or integrated in what we do in Sig Docs. I'm not trying to say, you know, avert here, but just that the original agreement was that these projects were on their own. And as Zach says, we can consult, we can offer some advice about things. There are basic principles of localization that apply across any project on the web. But specific workflows, we really can't. And I was thinking of kubectl too, specifically, when you were speaking that, because we did in fact talk about it at that point. And we talked about the fact that it's a different tool chain, it's a different publication workflow.
Okay.
Clear that these folks, you know, that these projects want to jump on the localization bandwagon, and it seems like it's catching absolutely everywhere. I mean, outside the Kubernetes ecosystem as well, I'm seeing more and more open source projects saying, look, if we really want to reach a global audience and commit to diversity and inclusion, localization has to be a much higher priority than it has been in the past. And I would never want to say no to helping out, but there's just a limited amount that we realistically can do.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. That was a really handy summary. Yeah, we have faced this before, and yeah, there's only so much we can own. Tamo, seeing you here in chat reminds me that last week we had talked about following up on our presence at the Contributor Day in Barcelona. So we're going to be there, but we're not going to have a scheduled activity. So if you want to send folks that way, I'm happy to meet with them and work with them. But in terms of like having a scheduled activity or like a structured activity, we have nothing planned.
Okay,
so,
thanks.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, I found the links. I've told people to register, and I don't know if anybody who's actually attending from Weaveworks is involved with docs other than me, but yes, thanks for that.
Okay, cheers. Will you be there?
No, yeah, I have a European team, so part of my European team will be there, and then I'm in San Francisco, so we'll be at the San Diego one.
Gotcha.
Which I assume will have a contributor summit as well.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, cheers. Okay, last call for discussion. All right, that's a SIG meeting. Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.
Bye, Zach.
Thank you.